Wendy was there last night for the show of the year so far. Luka, revenge, a dish best served ice cold. He was ready to go with Monica. All the protagonists in this drama were there. Nico Harrison wasn't hiding. There's Luka and Kyrie before the game. Anthony Davis gets a nice ovation. And then early, you can see the emotion maybe getting the better of Luka here. Doesn't get the call and gets the tee.
Yeah, I fired up, obviously. He's a guy that in his previous organization did not hide his emotions. Tonight, add +2 to those emotions at least.
Yeah, so again, there's the technical for him early. Later in the quarter, Lakers have the early lead. And what we're going to see here, you get the Lakers with a miss. They're going to kick it out. I want you to watch the reaction from Luka after this goes in. Yes. Look at him here. Look at him looking right at the bench. We know where that's aimed. Daggers and more from Doncic, second quarter. Luka putting on a show. Monica, the pass.
I mean, the passing is fantastic, and as this game progressed, you are just reminded about how powerful Luka and LeBron as a combo could be. But literally, eyes behind his head. And this, honestly, Greeny, was not one of Luka's better performances in terms of efficiency, but still, he can have a great impact on a ballgame.
Look at that pass underneath the Vanderbilt again. Taking another look, you see just a pure no-look Lakers, an 8-point halftime lead. But this was a game. Fourth quarter, Mavs depleted, but they were fighting. They were in there. P.J. Washington, how about this pass here to LeBron?
Yeah, this was one of the ones where I was like, man, the father time continues to be reversed when it comes to LeBron James.
LeBron had 16 points in the fourth quarter of this game, and the Lakers would need them all because Klay Thompson's going to knock this down, and we're tied at 88. Dallas right in there, but the ensuing possession for the Lakers, again, it was LeBron.
But again, a lot of these are LeBron connections with Luka. If it's not the primary assist, it's the secondary assist, or that hockey assist, as we call it. And this is why they brought the two of these guys together. I mean, LeBron being able to play off the ball, run the floor hard, cut hard, and trust that Luka is going to find him, man.
Triple-double for Luka, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists. LeBron there to clean that one up. He finished with 27 and 12, and in the end, it is the Lakers who come away with a win. And after, Luka, emotional.
Weird game, different game, but I can't even explain what kind of emotions were. You know, seeing the guys out there, seeing the guys I played, the closure is gonna take a while, I think. You know, it's not ideal. I'm glad this game is over. You know, there was a lot of emotions, but we go little by little, you know, and every day is better.
When you move on or they move on from you, it's very emotional. Obviously, it's very taxing, and you know, it's probably a lot of things that was going on in his head that probably didn't even involve the game itself. You know, so and with that said, I thought he handled it tremendously.
All right, Jay, Will, and Wendy are up with us early. Wendy, you were there last night. Did you think he handled it tremendously?
It was fine. I think it was emotional for him. I think a very memorable moment for me was Nico Harrison standing in an electric blue suit, very, very visible at the scorer's table an hour before the game when Luka came out there. Both men basically there 20, 30 feet from each other. If somebody wanted to take a step to address the other one, they could have. That didn't happen. I certainly will remember that. That's not something you normally see pregame at a normal February event. But within the game, the Jason Kidd and the Mavericks decided Luka was not going to score 40 on them last night. They double teamed him aggressively. Luka had a good start to the game, but then basically had to make the right basketball play. He had the 12 assists because they were forcing the ball out of his hands. He was a little tired at the end of the game. At one point in the second half, J.J. Redick had to call timeout to give him some rest. At the end of the game, he was bent over and just pulling on his shorts, but that was okay because LeBron had a lot of energy left because he doesn't have to handle the ball as much anymore. And you can definitely see the difference. LeBron with a bunch of energy in the fourth quarter to get it done. Not a game I think that's going to be super memorable. The game in April when he goes back to Dallas, I think could be a different story.
Jay, Will, your thoughts?
You know, there's two ways to address this, Greeny, on the court and then the drama off the court. So let's start with the latter. And I think, you know, the biggest thing for me is that line in business that you hear all the time where it's not personal, it's business. This one was personal. And you can feel that personal issue that Wendy just talked about with Nico Harrison on the sideline before the game, watching the two not address each other, that awkwardness. And when Luka made that three, there was a part of me, of course, that thought he was staring at the bench. There was also a big part of me that as somebody who's spiteful, and I call myself Petty LaBelle sometimes, and seeing how LeBron and Luka are that way too. Like it almost felt like Luka was searching for Nico Harrison. He was searching for management, and that's where the drainage to me. This one feels like all the main characters were on the court, not playing because obviously AD and Daniel Gafford and the rest of the team need to be available for Dallas. But seeing Luka there, seeing Nico Harrison there, seeing LeBron James being on the court, seeing Jason Kidd, that really didn't have anything to do with it. When I hear LeBron talk about they, it didn't feel it was like they moving on from Luka. It felt like only a select few in that Dallas Mavericks organization decided to move on from Luka, and that was the personality that I felt on the court.
So the off the court stuff obviously takes center stage in this conversation and last night. How about on the court? What did you see last night, Monica, as far as the game is concerned? Because one way or another, this game now has come and gone. As Wendy mentioned, they'll be in Dallas in April, and that'll get a lot of hype and all the rest of that, and we'll see what Luka does there. But at the end of the day, these teams are moving forward. The Mavericks have to get healthy. What did you see from the Lakers last night?
I continue to really enjoy the combination of LeBron James and Luka Doncic together. And Wendy mentioned it, in the fourth quarter, you're looking like, oh, LeBron had -5 years lately in this fourth quarter, but it's because he's not on the ball. Luka is going to find him. He can trust that. The other thing to me that I'm a little bit curious about is this small ball defense that the Lakers are going to have to go to. Obviously, we all sort of we all enjoyed and noted the way they were able to perform against the Nuggets last night. This one, not as much, obviously a depleted roster in terms of the Mavs dealing with injuries, but you really do like what Jared Vanderbilt brings. You like what Dorian Finney-Smith. When you look at it, Luka, Hachimura, and Finney-Smith, those guys together present one of their best trios so far since this trade, and that's in terms of their on and off numbers.
Jay, well, I haven't had you this week. There's been so much conversation here about the Lakers after that win over the Nuggets on Saturday night. What is your sense of what this team's ceiling is right now, this year?
I think they have a legitimate chance. I still, just like Monica, we both have questions around their defense and obviously about other teams and health. That's going to be an issue for every team in the NBA. But just seeing their offensive explosiveness is something that stands out, because now you have two dynamic ball handlers, and also allows LeBron James to be a bona fide wideout. Like, he's a receiver. And, he's just getting dimes past him left and right that makes his offense easy. But I also think their commitment on the defensive end is something that has really stood out. Their attention to detail. And I give JJ Redick a ton of credit for that, getting everybody to buy in. But their win against Denver, I thought, was extremely impressive. Look, for me against Dallas, I expected them to win this game. I think we'll learn more about Dallas when they are fully at health. And that's when you get a chance to see the Lakers in that battle in the Western Conference. But I think they have a legitimate chance to chase that 2 seed in the Western Conference right now.
That's what I'm asking you for, Wendy. Lord knows I don't ask for much, but give me a fully healthy and ready to go Mavericks roster, and give me the Lakers, and give me that series sometime in late April or early May. Wendy, I think more than anything else, literally anything else in the sport, that is the series that we need.
I think it would be amazing. This game, the Mavericks were not really equipped to compete. Down the stretch of this game, the Lakers made 11 baskets in the paint in the fourth quarter. 11. And yes, some of them were LeBron in transition, but they just couldn't measure up. They started a two-way center. Dwight Powell, who hasn't played in 6 weeks, finished the game. They just tore him apart on the inside. If Anthony Davis was there, this game might have gone a different way. And I want to see Luka, with his legs underneath him, able to play the way we know he can play. We've seen him amazingly have personal vendettas in playoff series before where they were a little invented. This one would not be invented. So yes, it would be amazing. And look, it could be as simple as the first round. The Mavericks could be a play-in team, and the Lakers could be the 2 seed, as Jay mentioned.
We'll see where it all winds up. And the Laker fans are excited. The Laker fans are excited. Get me a Laker fan. Get in here, D-Wood.
Get one on
D-Wood, I see him over there. He's like frothing at the mouth, dying to get in on this conversation. The world's biggest Laker fan. Is this team going to win 2? The way we've defined contender is, can they win 2 playoff series? Is this Laker team ready to win 2 playoff series this spring?
Yes. Yes, they are. Just watching the Lakers since the whole trade, couple things. I love how connected and active they are defensively. Even though they're undersized, they are very active on the defensive end, because when you get to the postseason, you got to be able to play defense. Got to question the size, but I love how active they are. And number 2, did you see how fresh LeBron was late in the game?
Great late.
Because the fact that now Luka dominates the ball, it allows LeBron to take pressure off LeBron, and so he was able to take over the fourth quarter. We're seeing a spry LeBron James, which is, man, that's going to be something to see. I'm ready for all the smoke right now. Jay Will, Wendy, I'm ready for all the smoke for everybody when it comes to these Lakers.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, yeah.
Wendy,
Woody, with
Greedy, what'd you say?
I said I'm with Woody. I'm with him.
Here's my one thing, and I'm glad you said this. Who are you?
D-Wood.
D-Wood. I'm like, this is not Wendy. Why my brain is like off this morning. The two series thing I think is a great question. And when we talk about a team that's playing a small ball defense, like this defense could grow and blow us away. But I do wonder, let's just say we get Mavericks Lakers, right? I do wonder if that size and that energy, it requires more to guard a team potentially with 3 near 7-footers. And so I just wonder how that plays out.
All right, everyone hold this thought. Again, LeBron, to your point, had 16 points in the fourth quarter last night. That was his highest scoring fourth quarter of the season. Part of that perhaps because Luka's carrying some of the load. Everyone stay where you are. Much more basketball.
Luka Doncic is looking to have one of those Luka Doncic big-time nights. Doncic top 3. Okay! And immediately turns to the Mavericks bench. Doncic and LeBron. The greatest combo going right now. What a show LeBron James is putting on in the fourth quarter. Doncic the triple-double in his first game against his old team. Did not disappoint.
So Luka gets the triple-double. LeBron has 16 in the fourth. Lakers beat the Mavs on an interesting night, and they are cruising. They've won 15 of their last 19 games, and so they are just 2 games back of second place in the West. But they have played, by record, a very easy schedule for the most part over the last few weeks. This is about to change. They have the 3rd hardest remaining strength of schedule over the rest of the season, and you see their schedule for the next 6 games. They play a lot of the big boys in the NBA, including the Celtics. Wendy, one could look at that a couple of different ways. It's a good test. It's a reality check. What are we expecting over this next little stretch here from Luka and LeBron?
Well, those first 5 of those are at home. They're on a big, long homestand here, and so they've been really good at home. They had a bad loss to the Hornets last week, but they've done a really nice job holding down home court. So I think that they can keep winning. The question to me, really, for where the Lakers can go this year is, can this defense hold up? Going back now 6 weeks or so, the Lakers have the #1 defense in the entire NBA. And if you're looking to build a case about why they can make a deep run, it's that. Now, I still think their lack of interior size is going to show up at times, but they have great perimeter size. And J.J. Redick has put in a system that has allowed them to use that perimeter size. Now, look, when they play the Clippers a couple of times later this week, they've got some size they're going to have to deal with. But I'll tell you what, like 2 years ago, Greeny, when the Lakers were about to make an unexpected run to the Western Finals, they were the #1 defensive team in the league down the stretch. Last year, when the Dallas Mavericks caught fire late in the season, made the finals from the 5th seed, they were one of the best defensive teams down the stretch. The pathway to a postseason run is defense. That's what the Lakers are doing right now.
Absolutely, and a lot of the credit for that, I think, Jay Will, has to belong to your old buddy from Duke, J.J. Redick, who, you know, we talked about him not sleeping last week and all that stuff, preparing for that game against Denver, and there was so much praise for the game plan there and the strategy they had against Jokic in that game. How about the job that J.J. Redick is doing with this team, Jay?
I mean, he's in the conversation for Coach of the Year in the NBA. I think he's done an incredible job getting everybody to buy into different roles, and also the way he's been utilizing Austin Reeves as a scoring punch. I mean, Austin Reeves is having you could say, a comparable year to that of Ja Morant, right, scoring-wise. And I think it's those schemes and it's those strategies, in particular with Reeves, the way he's been utilizing Rui, and defensively, even LeBron James at this older stage of his career, you know, he's playing like a younger player, the way he's able to really carry a lot of that load on the interior. But I would say there are certain matchups that you do wonder about when you get into the playoffs, about how they would handle the size or the physicality of Denver, how they would handle, if healthy, the likes of Dallas. And the one thing I do worry about Dallas is, even though as much people think that Luka will be on this mission to destroy them, and trust and believe, Jason Kidd did not show his hand the other night. If there's one person that knows how to take advantage of the weaknesses that he's seen over the time that he's played with Luka and Coach Luka, that would be Jason Kidd.
It's an interesting dynamic, Monica, because we've seen, you know, the term super team and all that, including LeBron James in the past. We've seen guys choose to team up and do stuff, This is sort of a different scenario, right? They were thrust together, but it looks like they both like it, right? It looks to me like this is a marriage that is going to work because both sides want it to.
The basketball of it works perfectly, right? Especially offensively when you talk about Luka and LeBron. I think the 16 points in the fourth quarter last night for LeBron is like, look at this guy. He looks free to roam, free to range, free to make these type of plays because the pressure of being sort of the centerpiece is off of him. And so that is very, very powerful. I am very intrigued, like Wendy and Jay said, about how this defense plays out. We know that historically, you know, you got to be in that top 10 as far as defensive rating to go on and be a champion in this league. I think that if these guys can maintain sort of this intensity on defense, then it'll be a good thing. I do wonder if offensively they'll counter it with a little bit more speed in their offense to maybe play that game in terms of small ball. But it's you got to give all parties involved tremendous credit. Everybody for committing and JJ Redick for scheming it up.
Look, the oldest expression in sports is styles make fights. I think who they wind up playing is going to wind up going a long way towards deciding how they wind up doing. In the meantime, we are loaded up today. Let's start with the game last night. Revenge, thy name is Doncic. He wanted a piece of the Mavs last night, and maybe of that man, Nico Harrison, who was not hiding. He was right out there. Kyrie and Luka saying hello, Anthony Davis saying hello, so the stage was set. Early on, you could see the emotions, Monica, maybe getting the better of Doncic here.
Yeah, emotion is a part of the package when it comes with Luka Doncic, so not a ton of surprise here. I may be surprised that this happened this early in the ball game, but it is a heavily emotional experience for Luka for sure.
He wanted a call, he didn't get it, he got a technical, so that didn't go well. Later in the quarter, this is going to be Luka off the offensive rebound, and after he knocks down the long-range three, Monica, take a look at where his vision immediately goes.
Now, interestingly enough, Greeny, this would be his only three of the night, but again, I'm chalking the inefficiency up to the emotions of it all. So yes, glaring lovingly at the Dallas bench.
He did not have a great night scoring the ball at all, but look at the behind-the-head pass to Austin Reeves. Look at this again.
12 dimes for Doncic. That is one of many that were beautiful. He just understands where his teammates are, and to have this kind of chemistry so early is impressive, as you see.
You need to see the replay on this one to get a sense. It's a pure no-look. He's looking one way, ball going the other way. Lakers up 8 at halftime. Fourth quarter, I want you to see a nice outlet pass here. Austin Reeves, what a year this kid's having. How about this pass to LeBron ahead of the floor? LeBron James would score 16 points in the fourth quarter last night, 16 of his 27, and they needed them all because this was a game. The depleted Mavs fighting. Klay Thompson knocks down a three. We're tied at 88 in the fourth quarter. But it would be LeBron again, and this one off a dime from Doncic to finish his triple-double.
Yeah, Jason Kidd was doubling Luka all night, and no problem for Luka. I'll facilitate to my guy.
Another to his guy right there, LeBron ahead of the field, 27 and 12 for LeBron, 19, 15, and 12 assists for Luka Doncic. So in what was an interesting, if not outstanding game, it is the Lakers who emerge with another win, 107-99. And afterwards, Luka talking about all the emotions.
Weird game, different game. But I can't even explain what kind of emotions were. You know, seeing the guys out there, seeing the guys I played, the closure is gonna take a while, I think. You know, it's not ideal. I'm glad this game is over. You know, there was a lot of emotions, but we go little by little, you know, and every day is better.
When you move on or they move on from you, it's very emotional. Obviously, it's very taxing, and you know, it's probably a lot of things that was going on in his head that probably didn't even involve the game itself. You know, so. And with that said, I thought he handled it tremendously.
Handled it tremendously, says LeBron. Jay, Will, and Wendy up with us. Winman, you were there last night. How do you think Luka handled it?
Reasonably well. The scene before the game when he came out, everybody knew he was coming. They put on the Slovenian music, which is what they do when he warms up. They started in Dallas. Nico Harrison sitting there in an electric blue suit. Both of them a few feet apart from each other. Neither of them making eye contact. You don't normally see that before a game in February. There was a lot of action. For the game itself, the Mavericks made a decision, Greeny. They were not letting Luka go off in this game with scoring. They double-teamed him aggressively right from the start. That was fine. Luka started passing the ball. He had 12 assists. He didn't shoot the ball really well, but he was able to save LeBron's energy for the fourth quarter. LeBron had a big fourth quarter. They took advantage of the Mavericks' weak interior and ended up winning this game. It was really not in a much more than an average game. I look forward in April when he goes back to Dallas, when he's feeling his legs up under him a little bit more. When Dallas is healthier, we see a more representative game between these two teams.
Jay Will, you and I have a lot of things in common, and one of them is we both love the petty. I live for the petty. And I love the Mavericks weren't going to let Luka go off. He's looking over at the bench. I respect to Nico Harrison for sitting right out there and basically saying, hey, if you have something to say, I'm sitting right here and say it to me. The game was what it was. The scene was pretty spectacular, Jay Will.
Well, Greeny, Luka had something to say. I mean, that was 19, 15, and 12, right, on a poor shooting performance. But just show me that video again, just of Luka making that three, to this perceived stare to the Dallas Mavericks bench, because there is a photo that's out there that I'm telling you, he's not staring at the bench. He's staring at Nico Harrison. It feels like this is so personal. It feels like that was a statement. Nico Harrison wearing that electric blue suit, which feels like it represents the Dallas Mavericks front office, right? Like, this is something that's so meaningful to Luka, because in that moment, that felt like a mic drop. It felt like, hey, look, you let go of me. This isn't about Kyrie. This isn't about all my other teammates. This is how I feel about you and the front office. And nobody's moving on from this game like LeBron James says. Like, we're moving into this game. You know how LeBron was talking about don't fit in, fit out? We're moving into more of this game coming up. And April 9th is going to be another testimony to how this game is going to be personal for Luka.
April 9th is when they will go back to Dallas, or the Lakers will go to Dallas, I should say, and we're expecting the fireworks there. I don't mean fisticuffs fireworks. I mean, sort of a lot more of this emotion.
Energized.
And maybe a better night for Luka. I got to be honest with you. I predicted on the show yesterday he would go off offensively, and everyone told me, no, they're not going to let him score, and I get it that the Mavericks didn't let him score. I wanted to see a little I can't put my finger on what it is that I wanted to see that we didn't see last night from Luka. I wanted to see him handle this. I guess there's a little piece of the immaturity. Jay, well, go ahead. You look like you're questioning what I'm saying.
He had a triple-double. We're minimizing the triple-double in 19, 15.
Luka Doncic wakes up with a triple-double. Luka Doncic gets a triple-double in every game that he plays. I wanted to see Luka score 40 last night. Go ahead, Jay.
19, 15, and 12 is one hell of a stat line. I'm just trying to tell you. I know he didn't shoot the ball well.
He wanted to have a good game. He wanted to score 42.
I did.
Greeny, he wanted to score 42. That's why he was so excited coming out. He scored 8 points right out of the gate, and the Mavericks just didn't let him do it. This is a guy who averaged 35 points a game last year. He's the third highest scoring player in the history of the NBA. He had 19 points. He did not have a bad game, but this is not what he wanted.
I think there's a middle ground. Go, Jay.
Go ahead. Sorry, Monica.
All right, Monica, go.
I think there's a middle ground for all of these sort of things. Yes, I know what you mean, Greeny, and I think practically when you look at it, this is a stat line that any NBA player will be like, oh, that was a good game. I do think there's, Jay, a little bit of room for the conversation around efficiency because of what we're accustomed to seeing from Luka. But I also think that, this is just round one, to Wendy's point. We got more coming in April, and Luka is still, to me, getting his legs under him, not just with the Lakers, but on the season. He missed a big chunk of the season last year, and he's not typically I don't want to use I don't like the motor thing that has come out of Dallas, but it's not going to be an athletic display. So if he's not having an efficient night, you're going to get a triple-double, and that's still very good, but the numbers are not as gaudy in terms of scoring.
He made a bunch of plays in this game. He was an excellent factor in this game. He also, J.J. Redick had to call timeout in the third quarter because he was tired to take him out. In the fourth quarter, there were plays down the stretch where he was literally bent over, not involved in the play, holding his shorts. He's just not there yet. But give him time. I believe that'll happen.
Wendy, I know he wanted to have 40 points, but I just don't want to minimize the fact that he's attributed to scoring or assisting on 52 of the team's 107 points.
Very good game.
Yeah.
I don't want to minimize that. That's all.
I understand that. By anyone else's standards, that's a good game. By Luka Doncic's standards, that isn't a good game against anyone, much less in this game that he had circled.
I think it was fine. Yeah, I'm with Wendy. Yeah, it was okay. I hear you, Greeny. I hear you. And Greeny, to your point, if you are on the side of Nico Harrison in Dallas, you're somewhere saying, well, the energy thing, right? If you want to nitpick in that way. But Jay is absolutely right. He absolutely impacted winning, and there's more upside for him to get acclimated in this Lakers organization.
Look, as a person who has been passive-aggressive all of my life, Jay, I have to give it up to Nico Harrison, who is sitting right out there with the loudest suit he could possibly find. He went into his wardrobe. He was like, what can I wear that will make sure everyone notices who I am, where I am, what? And he's just, look at his body language.
Look, look, we're going to talk to Malika later today. Malika is standing right next to him. I was standing about 20 feet down with Luka's agent, Bill Duffy, who's been around the NBA 40 years. Bill is looking at this the same way everybody else is, with a bemused smile going, I've never seen anything like this.
And Wendy, Bill Duffy was my agent, and I've been close to him my entire life. Trust and believe, like Luka had a comment that he didn't see Nico Harrison before the game. Get out of here.
No,
Lose me
come
with
on.
that. He chose not to see him. You know what I mean? He chose not to see him.
I've never met Bill Duffy in my life, so I can't comment on this part of it. But I will merely ask you, Monica, to sort of finish up the conversation. Do you think when they go back in April, maybe the Mavericks are going to have a bunch more of their players healthy then? That game could mean a lot for either or both teams. It might not. We never know by the time we get to April. Do you think in that game, Luka will go for 40-something points?
I do. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Mavs fans respond. Is there a world in which they are cheering for Luka to some degree, even though he's in another uniform?
Yes.
I don't want to. Okay, these guys are saying yes, right?
I think so.
So it's going to be very contentious all around. But yeah, he'll be in better shape by then in terms of being more familiar with the Lakers. He'll have his legs under him. All of these things will be improved. Yeah.
Win-man.
You're exactly right, Greeny. He has one suit like this. This is the multi-game road trip. He picked this out. He wanted to be standing out. Luka Doncic yesterday threw a pass where he literally never looked. He threw it behind his head. It was wide open for a three-pointer assist. Don't tell me the man did not see him. He knew exactly where he was, and Nico knew exactly where Luka was going to be. It was one of the more amusing moments I've ever had pregame in an NBA arena.
Yeah, they put a little bit of a show on. I'll say it again as I did earlier today. I don't ask for much. Just give us that series in the playoffs. I don't care when. I don't care if it comes early. I don't care if it comes late. Give us a healthy Mavs team against these Lakers in the playoffs this year. Give the people what they want. All right, coming up, the combo.
Luka Doncic is looking to have one of those Luka Doncic big-time nights. Doncic top three. Okay! And immediately turns to the Mavericks bench. Doncic and LeBron. The greatest combo going right now. What a show LeBron James is putting on in the fourth quarter. Doncic the triple-double in his first game against his old team. Did not disappoint.
Lakers win the good show last night in an interesting game. They're cruising. They're 15-4 in their last 19 games, 2 games out of second in the West. But this little honeymoon phase is about to get a real test. They've played a lot of subpar competition lately. Coming up, they have the third hardest remaining strength of schedule, and you saw they got a bunch of big boys coming up. So, are they ready? That's the question, I guess, Wendy. Are they ready for prime time? They've had their little build up here. Are they ready to go up against what looks like something of a murderer's row of a schedule?
Yeah, I'm actually not that worried about this next stretch of games because they're at home for most of them. Then they go out to the East Coast. They have a road trip. They got to play in Boston. They got to play in Denver again. We'll see how they go there. To me, the biggest question about the Lakers is, can they defend like this? I have no worries about Luka scoring. I have no worries about him and LeBron. I think they can complement each other. I think this team's going to put the ball in the basket. What makes them different during this last stretch of games is that they've been defending. They've been the number 1 defense in the league since January 15th. I cannot believe that, especially considering some of their guys are just not good individual defenders and they don't have size. J.J. Redick is doing some sort of sorcery. Now, what I expect to happen is as this Lakers alignment gets seen by the league and the scouts are there, they start preparing game plans to take advantage of their weaknesses. But if the Lakers defend like this, their ceiling is unlimited because they will have games where Luka and LeBron will carry them in close games. So to me, whoever they play the rest of the season, how they can still defend is an indication of how far they can go.
All right, Jay, so I picked my head up when he said the ceiling is unlimited if they can defend. Can they defend?
I mean, I think we're seeing them defend right now. I think there's still a lot more runway for us to determine their altitude overall. I mean, right now with guys like Dodo and Vanderbilt and the versatility they have, like they still are undersized. And it's something that we will continue to dig into because as we get deeper into the playoffs, there are teams, like you said before earlier, Greeny, styles win fights. And depending upon matchups, even if they have great guard defense, the lack of an interior presence and that depth is something that ultimately could haunt this Lakers. Now, I know they're prolific scoring, but defense does win championships, and that's the only question I have about this Lakers team.
McNutt, I remember when this trade was made, and the general consensus of all of the people that I had on my show was, boy, the Lakers are going to be awful defensively. They're going to be so bad defensively. So as Wendy said, like J.J. Redick is working some magic right now. Can he work it all the way into late May?
I know he's going to give it his all, for sure. The sustainability is going to be interesting to see. As we're having this conversation, though, I think back to a game in January versus Boston. Now, this was obviously prior to the trade, but I did watch a lot of these undersized guys have to guard Porzingis, guard Horford, and they were really selling out in terms of the effort of guarding up. And so, yes, the interior defense, as you look at it, is a lot on Jackson Hayes if you see him as the only interior defender. But I do think the competitiveness that they are bringing to the defensive side of the ball, the accountability, there's such a unique dynamic between guys that are still young-ish in their career and then playing alongside LeBron James, but these are all guys that are committing on the defensive side.
And I'll remind everybody that Wendy has literally been covering LeBron James since he was in high school. So with that as the sort of a baseline of the question, Winman, you're around him now this week. This has been a fascinating time. I will admit to being really surprised with how well this has started with him and Luka. What sense are you getting from LeBron about how he sees it?
He's got a complete redeployment of energy. When he has to be the point guard, which he has largely been throughout his entire Lakers tenure. Yes, I know they've had other guys who have been there, but most of the time LeBron has had to work very hard on offense. We have seen him just let it go at the defensive end. Quite frankly, his last few years, he just hasn't put a lot of energy into defense. You see it all the time. Since Luka got there, I see a completely different energy on LeBron on defense. Plus, with him playing off the ball and him handling it less, he's got more energy late in the game. So you watched last night, he had 16 points in the fourth quarter. He's out there playing with great defensive energy. If that energy redeployment can continue, it changes the Lakers' horizon. Also, I can tell you going back a decade, you can see it no matter what he says. You can see it in LeBron's eyes and body language, whether he believes in his team. There have been times where I felt in mid-season, he's like, I'm done. This team's not going anywhere. I'll fulfill my contract and play the rest of the games. He believes in this team. And that gives them, that again, just raises their entire ceiling, gives them more of an opportunity to accomplish more. I can't see what's going to happen in the West. In the East, I can see seeds 1 through 5 almost very clearly. In the West, the Thunder are 1. After that, it's undefined. And you got guys like Draymond Green coming in saying they thinks they can win the title. I know that that's a little bit of a laugher, but he's saying that for a reason. He sees opportunity. Guess who else does, Greeny? Number 23 in purple and gold.
Yeah, you see the top 6 teams there. The Warriors are only a half a game out of being out of the play-in, and they have an easy schedule coming up. Jay Will, give me a final thought on LeBron.
Greeny, we pay attention to mannerisms and body language. As a diehard basketball fan watching that game late last night, if you watch the last closing 15 seconds, there were only 4 players on the court for the Lakers. LeBron left the court with like 15 seconds left to go in the game. You talk about somebody who's locked in, somebody, to what Wendy said, sees the upside, sees the potential. Yeah, that's a thumbs up. That's what we're talking about. That's a guy like LeBron James who recognizes that, who's already on to the next play, who leaves the game with 15 seconds left to go because he's forward thinking about what's next.
I love it when those things happen. It just, can you do that little heart thing? What's the little heart thing you do with your hands? You know that thing that, I think we'll get the little heart.
There you go. There we go. Just for lovers.
With that, let's move on to
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.